Hey everyone, this is Ryan Corcoran with Broadcast Buddy TV, the all-around go-to channel for all things broadcast television. And on this channel, it is our goal to equip you with these tips, tricks, and know-hows to help make you a better broadcaster. And today we are joined by Jeff Rietman from Alphalogic. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Yeah, it's been a while. Always enjoy seeing you here at NAB. I really like what you have going on. It's fantastic. I've been following the Broadcast Buddy TV for a while.
Oh, thank you.
Kind of following everything that you're doing, and I love it. I'm a fan.
Great. And that is a good point. We are at NAB 2024, and this is day 3, I believe.
Yeah, day 3.
Day 3. I lose track.
The last big day, and then day 4 we have it's a little bit more calm, right?
So, what have you guys been doing here at the show?
What we've been doing, we've been talking to people. We've definitely been talking to people. My company's brand spanking new, so people are finding out about us here. And then on top of that, we've been going around and learning a lot. NAB is a great place to learn new things. Mm-hmm. So checking out all the different vendors and seeing what's new, what's out there, and different areas of broadcast that we're not familiar with, we're getting familiarized. So it's been a blast.
My viewers often ask me if NAB is worth the trip, and I usually tell them, the same thing. It really depends on what you're going for, but if you haven't been and you're in our industry, it is something you have to do at least once.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't miss it. Definitely when I was breaking into the industry, I knew I had to go. I do like trade shows in general, so maybe that might just be a me thing. But like if you're looking to get into the broadcast industry, you'll definitely get a good introduction here, and you'll really get to know like where do you want to fit in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Aside from being a kid in a candy store, it is quite the experience. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So before we get into talking about your company, Alphalogic, what's our relationship?
Yeah, so we go back to Ross Video days. So Ryan was a trainer for Ross Video, and when I started in 2018, I was hired by Ross Video then, and we, I shadowed Ryan. So Ryan was my first foray into the job itself of training and doing demos and stuff like that. And I learned a lot from that first experience. I believe it was at CBS Interactive in Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, yeah. That was a interesting one to learn off of. Was there were some issues that we had to resolve, and it turned into a mess, but it ended up we ended up coming ahead at the end.
Yeah, Ryan was the hero. Like the place was falling apart with the Moss workflow, and he got in there and he fixed the issues that he saw, and I just remember him just scrambling back and forth, just running across the newsroom, and going to check the numbers on this. And at the time, I had no idea what he was doing, but I think today I'd have a much better chance at that. But it was definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, training in and of itself is an interesting experience, especially when you're doing anything for a manufacturer like Ross or something like that. But I definitely took a lot away from my time doing it. And I still do it to this day, just not quite as frequently as I used to. But what were some things that you enjoyed at your time at Ross when you were a trainer?
So I definitely enjoy getting in front of people. I definitely enjoy sharing knowledge. I think I was born to share knowledge, born to learn and then share it, right? And so, and then, kind of being around, computers has always been a part of me. So getting in front of people and just teaching people all about, how to do their graphics. And, before I came to Ross, I was a Viz op. And then before that, I had nothing to do with graphics. So it was a new world for me on its own. Even when I joined Ross, I had never designed anything. And so definitely learning how to be a designer, even though I wasn't a designer, was probably the best thing I picked up.
Yeah, and expression itself is such a powerful tool and has become such a standard in our industry, and not a lot of people really entertain, let alone know the capabilities it has when it comes to scripting and visual logic and transition logic. I know that was something that when we started working together, you kind of were drawn to almost immediately.
Yeah, so I have a very long history with coding in general. Definitely when I was a kid, um, like going back to the days of like the old AMD like 286s and all of that, and before graphics had motion to them, I was coding in Quick Basic, and I would write these fantasy stories and have the choose your own adventure kind of thing to it, and I was using Quick Basic for that. And I don't think I was even like 11 years old at the time. I'm not sure exactly when it was, but I was pretty young. And then going from there, eventually getting into HTML, in my juvenile years, and building pages on geocities.com and
GeoCities.
oh yeah, and I remember my first page was like it was like about bears. I had a page about every kind of bear there was, and then I had a chat room that said that where you can tell people what kind of bear you are. So that going from there, then MySpace happened. Obviously we had to take HTML into MySpace.
Oh yeah, we're showing our age now. Yeah,
high school learning C# and C++, and then just kind of moving from there, teaching myself Python on my own, JavaScript, and then now with Expression, going into Visual Basic. So,
right.
And that is what is used there.
Yep. Expression Engine is Visual Basic based. VBA, I believe, the exact term, Visual Basic Application. And I know that I wouldn't consider myself an expert, even when I would get into trainings, I would be able to get people kind of started. But that's something that your company is going to be able to do in a more precise manner, right?
Yeah, definitely. With Ross Video, I kind of made myself into the scripting guru and the visual logic guru. And now that I'm, have this company, I want to continue to do that and continue to spread that wealth of scripting and visual logic knowledge and Visual Basic, transition logic, all the advanced stuff that a lot of designers are afraid to touch. I want to make it easier for them to get into it.
Right, and scripting, I think, has been in Expression since probably day one. Visual Logic was introduced later on as a method to kind of ease people into wanting to add more logic to their.
Visual Logic was what got me really interested in Expression. So before I joined Ross, I was a VisOp for the NFL Network, and I had I wanted to get experience with all these different platforms. I went through Chiron, learned Lyric Pro, but when I sat down and learned Expression from Simon Redmile, and I saw Visual Logic for the first time, I just fell in love with it made me feel in love with the software because I felt all of a sudden a new kind of power over what I was doing.
Yeah, there's so much you can do to make your graphics dynamic and more intelligent, and really, I think having you guys come in and be able to offer that level of knowledge and expertise and training. My favorite part was always when introducing somebody to something like Visual Logic. Initially, their eyes would just kind of start swimming, and it would become glazed over. But as soon as they started making the connections, and it was like not only were they making the connections on the screen, but connections were happening in their head too.
Absolutely.
And just a whole nother level of shock and awe of what you can now do with this software. Just opens up so many doors.
Oh yeah, and then you end up learning how your values get processed from point A to point B. You're basically building little machines.
Right.
It's almost like a game into itself.
Right, exactly. So just thinking about the three different types of scripting engines in Expression, where do you think one might want to use one over the other?
Well, the important thing, and I do get this question a lot, like when do you use scripting? When do you use Visual Logic? People ask me, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Visual Logic or do you prefer scripting? And my answer is always the tool, you use the right tool for the job, right? You use a hammer for nails, you use a screwdriver for screws, and you use a wrench for bolts, right? But I mean, you could still hammer in a screw but you're not going to.
Right.
Right. And to understand when to use visual logic and when to use scripting, you have to first understand what they are, what they're capable of, right? And so the conventional wisdom will state that, visual logic happens within a scene, right? And it happens repeatedly. So if you don't want something to happen repeatedly, and if you need to reach something outside the scene, you can't use visual logic there, right? You got to go to scripting for that. And you could, same thing with transition logic. You can write all of your transition logic in a script, right? But you're probably going to be, if you have to change something, transition logic will adapt to what your changes are. Same thing with visual logic. If you write a script that calls for a quad to change its size or something like that,
Right.
well, what happens when the quad changes its name? Your script breaks, right? Visual logic will take care of that for you. It automatically renames. Also, it's very easy to get in and just drag a wire from one point to another.
Right.
So you can fix things that way. But as long as you understand when these things occur and how often they occur, and then how often you want it to occur, you could make that decision.
Right. So, switching back to your company now. So, aside from teaching people and offering the services to your customers, you're also going to be doing some consulting with that as well.
Absolutely. We will consult, we will train. We want to we're just expression experts, and we will do whatever it takes to kind of push graphics into the right direction, whether it be designing it ourselves or consulting with people and helping them understand, how to, solve their issues. Or a lot of, we've had a customer, New Mexico State. They were struggling with their ESPN package, and they needed to understand it, maybe tailor it more towards their liking,
Right.
and we were able to step in and help them with that.
Yeah, that's always been a challenge when it comes to people who will receive a package, and then over time, it gets kind of diluted as people come and go, and then it comes a point where it's like we need to reverse engineer this and understand that. And I feel like Alphalogic is going to be a very good fit for that.
That's one thing that I think we're very good at doing. We're good at reverse engineering. We can open up any Visual Logic tab and kind of understand what's happening. Another thing we did with New Mexico State, we wanted to make sure is that when we make our changes to this project, we don't want it to seem like it's two different designers either. So we had to not only reverse engineer it, but learn how to mimic that level of design,
Right.
so that it sort of plays well with what they're trying to do.
Right. And with that, you guys have a bit of a philosophy that you're trying to almost, I don't want to say reinvent, but almost reinvigorate and standardize kind of what practices that you can have in the scripting and visual logic world.
And even outside of the scripting and visual logic world, throughout the 5 years I was with Ross and being a trainer and getting out there and seeing countless graphics packages out there, and you do see a lot of similarities between a lot of these packages, especially the higher end ones, where the performance metrics of the graphic when you take it online is a little. You're not getting the level you're not getting the level of performance that you expect from a graphic of that nature. For example, like if the graphic seems a little bit too simplistic to be taking up that much memory, right? And so, we've kind of dove into this and get a better understanding of what's going wrong here,
Right.
and discovering some of the habits that must have been formed early on. Maybe a misunderstanding of how certain objects work.
Right.
And so we're trying to correct some of those mistakes, get out there and kind of maybe do things the right way.
Right.
And not to say that there's like an extremely wrong way, but I think there is a more performance-driven way.
Right. Yeah. More performance-driven, optimized best practices.
Exactly.
And that's another thing is knowing as much as you do about the software, having that knowledge is power when it comes to when new releases come out, and being able to look back and say, this might have been the best way to do it then, but this is a better way to do it now with the new tools that are introduced and everything like that, which Ross has been very, very vigilant in making sure that there's timely releases in software, and that
Mm-hmm.
there's usually really, really good things.
And Alphalogic still has a very, very close relationship with Ross Video.
That's right. You just announced this week that there's a partnership now between you
Yes,
guys
absolutely.
and their creative services.
And to us, it was a very obvious move, coming from Ross Video, and it's we still offer a wealth of knowledge for them as well. And so, we have a partnership that we've announced with Ross Video and their creative services department, Rocket Surgery. So Rocket Surgery, they cover the globe in some of the biggest events, and they have a lot of ground to cover, and their schedule can be pretty hectic for them. So we've made a sort of a strategic partnership with them to kind of handle some of their overflow, but also as well to provide our input into the way that they design things as well.
Right.
So I think it's going to be very fruitful for us, and we love those guys. We have my partner in this company, Philip Mathers, had 8 years of experience with Rocket Surgery. I mean, that means he was there from the beginning.
Right.
Right. And so he's here with me, and then I've got some my own philosophies to impose, and Rocket Surgery would like to do things better themselves as well. So
Right.
So I think this is a great relationship. We're very happy about it.
That's great. Yeah. So with that, with Alphalogic and you guys being the scripting experts that you are you able to share any of the projects that you've worked on, and how crazy some of the graphics ended up being?
Well, we're brand new. We started in September, so the number of projects is rather low right now. But the first one that came out of the faucet of Rocket Surgery was kind of recently, late last year. It was with Rodeo Houston, and that was the first time we were able to really kind of flex our muscles, because we want to kind of put it out there that we're Alphalogic. Logic sort of implies a certain level of intelligence, right? And so we want to. So with Rodeo Houston, we were able to create a live leaderboard for them that reacts to pretty much everything that goes on in the rodeo. There's rodeo has so many different events, and they all have their different modes of scoring, whether it be timed or by points, and each day has its own way of paying out money. And so what would happen is what happened in the past for them is that they would have like 7 or 8 different leaderboards, one for each event, but we decided, hey, let's really show off a little bit here.
Right.
We condensed it down to a single scene that responds dynamically to everything that it's receiving in the data. So it reads what event it is, what day it is, and all sorts of other things. Anything that could happen during the show, it would be able to dynamically respond to it and act accordingly. So the end result is that you take it online, and then you can go have a drink somewhere, and that was our goal, and I think we accomplished that.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess to wrap things up, how can people get a hold of you guys?
Oh yeah, so we're available. We have a very rudimentary website out right now, or brand new. I'm hoping to get that straightened out, but we do have a contact page right now on our website. It's at alphalogic.tv. So that's our domain, and we're also available through email. hello@alphalogic.tv is a great way to reach both of us, and then we have LinkedIn, Jeff Rietman, that's Rietman, and Philip Mathers.
Great.
Yep.
And I'll make sure I put all that in the description below. Jeff, with that all being said, is there anything else you'd like to add, or anything that you'd like to kind of throw out there?
Well, I want to get everyone out here to NAB and to experience this the way we experience this. We have a blast out here. We network. We make friends. We learn a lot. So just I want to reiterate that NAB is where it's at. You have to be here.
Well said. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for sitting down with me and
thank you so
talking
much
about Alphalogic. I'm very excited to see what's going to come of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you too. I'm very excited about where Broadcast Buddy is going.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll see some more of you soon.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
For you guys, thank you so much for watching. Like the video, comment below, share, subscribe. You know how it goes. And with that being said, we'll catch you right here next time on Broadcast Buddy TV.